Down it goes, in towards Billy Byrne with his first touch. Can he score?
Hello and welcome to the Hurling Podcast's Fantasy Hurling Championship Preview. I'm joined as always by Ben Burney. How are you, Ben?
Hi, Garry.
We have the creator of the whole thing, Cathal McErlean. Hi, Cathal.
How's it going, lads?
And we have Oulart's Des Mythen, who's a shrewd fantasy hurling competitor. How are you, Des?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good. Well, the fantasy hurling is just around the corner. Cathal, you created the whole thing. How did you end up getting going on this?
It's probably just from an interest in the FPL. Anybody plays the soccer stuff. We started in the club through basically handing out physical copies of players to the National League. Got our club members down there, and then through our connections with different clubs down south, we reached out to them and got them involved. And then it spiraled into a website, which you see today, with then it developed into transfers, and from now football section too. You know, there's a hurling podcast. We've also Gaelic football. So I started to grew, and it's primarily a fundraiser for the club to raise money for the youth. You've probably seen on the Twitter handle in the last couple of weeks, the lads have been down at the Wexford Waterford game in Lone Park. They were Dublin, Kilkenny and Parnell. So the fundraising behind this goes towards trips like that and buying your hurls and sticks and whatever bit of coaching needs done or whatever. Like, so yeah, no, it's been brilliant now for our wee club. Like.
Very good. Yeah, it's great fun. Des, how did the league go for you?
Yeah, not great. I think I finished 70th or something in the world in Ireland. And,
it's the world as well.
Yeah, in the world, yeah. But look at it. I kind of done my team, and I didn't do any. You have to kind of prep. I know it's stupid, but I kind of done my team. Like, I ended up with Darragh Gray in my team for the whole championship. He didn't play at all, not 1 minute. And then I had so many fires all league with injuries that he actually stayed there because I had so many lads injured. And then I picked John Kiley as manager, who won 1 game. So that cost me. I was so close to doing Liam Cahill, and that probably cost me 150 points, I'd say, because the Waterford nearly won every game. Limerick won the 1 game, so it shows the importance of a manager, and you can never transfer them out.
Oh, you can, but it's just something that you don't.
Well, you can, yeah, but it's not that much points, but for Liam Cahill, when they won so many games and won the league, it ended up being
I actually never pegged the importance of the manager being 150 points. I had Kiley as well.
Yeah,
I'd say a lot of people had Kiley, but Des, look, it was just the league, like.
It was just it was kind of It was the championship is where I finished highest before, and I didn't get my prize. I didn't get my prize money for it yet, but we won't say nothing.
How high did you finish?
I think I was 2nd or 3rd. Cathal, was I?
Des finished sort of top 20 nearly every one of our competitions, and he was actually our what they call a celebrity leader 1 year. That's basically for all.
I won the celeb one, but I think the prize was a stay in a hotel in Dublin, which I think COVID ruined that for me.
We get this started.
And I think the league this year, Carl, was it a relief that Landers didn't win it? I know that on Dalo's podcast that there's a lot of they're big fans of this fantasy Hurling, and that there was a lot of controversy about Mark Landers there being up so high.
Well, it's actually funny because obviously all the podcasts, your own one on Dalo's and Shane Stevens, and there's Paul Shanley's, there's loads, and the crack you get on Twitter between the different podcasts is great. But in relation to Dalo's, Landers, he had Stephen Bennett captain the whole league, and obviously Bennett got injured, so he had a decision to make, and he decided to get rid of him. The information he was getting from his Waterford friends was that Bennett wasn't going to play in the rest of the league, he was going to save him for championship, and he brought in Austin Gleeson, and it was going brilliant for him because he bagged 2 goals against Wexford, and then he got the red card at the end, so that was a -6 turn to -12 because he was captain. And then of course then Waterford probably seen a league title on the line, so they rushed Bennett back. Was saying he lost out maybe an extra 60, 70 points on that alone. Like, so he maybe would have won the overall thing. And in previous times, that's the old track that he always got the wooden spoon every year. Like, so it was good old crack now, you know.
Yeah. Well, we're only a few days away now from the kickoff of the championship, so it's exciting times. When we're thinking about strategies for this, is it basically you need to nail down the right free takers? Des, is that what you tried to do?
Yeah, I probably over the years you'd be looking at free take, but like you don't realize the scoring from play. Like it's only 1 point. I know, like you need a free taker that's actually getting 4 or 5 points from play as well. So Jason Ford, I'd say in the league was probably, he and Stephen Bennett, like them two were way ahead. So it is a bit like I went for Desi Hutchinson, and I he was quiet in the final, but like someone like a Desi Hutchinson now that's going to get 1, 3 or 4 from play. He could be getting up to close to what a free taker's getting in the likes of, if you're just taking the frees and nothing else. Like Pat Horgan now looks a little bit off his game in regard of I wouldn't be picking him now just for if he's going to get 10 frees, that kind of a way. Whereas, Dara Fitzgibbon is probably going to get 3 points from play, 4 points from play. He's going to get. So if you're looking at 2 from card, it's kind of, you will be looking at the free takers obviously, but Stephen Bennett, Tony Kelly, and Jason Ford, like Rory O'Connor, another one. If he's taking the frees, he's a scorer from play. So it is, but they need to be chipping in with the scores from play as well, like So
yeah, so free takers are worth looking at, but as long as they're also scoring from play.
Yeah, like you have Darren McBurns taking a few frees from Limerick, and he chips in with 2 points from play, which is a big score then. Like, but I just looking at there's the backs probably isn't just looking at quickly. There's not too many backs this year that I think are going to score too much. So they're in their Cathal has them in the right positions this time. Where you don't have a Pádraig Walsh as a back who's obviously playing in the forwards.
That's what I was going to say to Cathal.
Yeah. Galway is the one now. Galway, they're completely on, like they're coming into that match against Wexford. They're not known. So Galway, you could get lucky if you picked it back, maybe that plays in the middle field, or Sean Loftus plays sometimes in the forwards. So, but there's such unknown. Like Galway are just so under the radar. It's not funny at the minute. Like,
yeah, Carl, when you're are you doing all these positions yourself? Are you making the call on them?
Yes, more or less down to me. To be fair to the boys, I would touch base with a few lads within the squads to sort of see who's off the squad and who's on. It's probably more difficult in football, to be honest. But in the hurling, I would generally know them myself anyway. And then maybe like Kieran Joyce for Cork, for example. He was sort of, I knew he played under 20s and under minors, but he never started a game, so he wasn't in the initial National League list. And then he was added in. So you do get me surprised now and again. Like Pádraig Walsh is down as all he's been a defender, and he lined up centre forward for Kilkenny, so he was nearly essential in the league game because he's hitting 3 or 4 fights and play as a defender. In relation to the free kickers question, it probably is. Des alluded to. You want a free taker that definitely adds points in play, because like if TJ Reid hits 12 frees, it's 12 points. But if Garrett Haggerty hits 5 points in play, there's 20 points. There's 4 points per point from play. So years ago we had 2 points for free, and we had to cut it down. I nearly cut it down to half a point nearly if I could, but because there's too much weight on free takers, I want to sort of get away from that. That way we give 4 points from play for forwards, from play or sidelines. So, and then defensive wise, you've probably plenty of good midfield options from play. And defence wise, you actually mentioned Galway. The likes of Fitton Burke could be knocking over sidelines from 100 yards. I think defenders get maybe 8 points from play for a point. So Colin Flood, no, he didn't start the National League semi-final. He's been knocking over good points. Paddy Foley, Tim O'Mahony, Mark Coleman hits frees as well. So there's plenty of good options there in defence. I know Des said there's no real out of position players, but there's still probably plenty of good players. Could Kyle Hayes end up in the forwards? Maybe. Yeah. He could be a goal mate.
And the likes of like Pádraig Walsh now, in the forwards, like you kind of rule him out as an option because he's a defender playing as a forward. Everyone thought it was an experiment at the start anyway, but it was an experiment that worked, so he probably will keep his place there. But is he an option now, Ben?
No,
what do you think?
Sure, he has to be an option, doesn't he? Like, even if he's moves to the back.
This was quick in to say no.
No.
So Ben, why is he an option?
Well, because he's probably Walsh. Even if he moves to the backs, I'd still, if he's centre back, I still wouldn't be surprised to see him get a couple of points. Like,
But
he's going
picking
to
him
play
over. If you're picking him over a forward, a potential free taker.
Well, the two lads have just shit all over free takers there a few minutes ago. And he's an option. Like, if he was in the backs, if he was down as a back, he'd be 100%. Definitely.
Yeah.
Personally, I won't be picking him, but I'm not saying he's not an option.
Okay, now Des, you tell Ben why he's not an option.
He's definitely not an option, Ben. Look, he's probably going to score 3 or 4 points and play, but like you'd be thinking of your Kilkenny have the 2 best fixtures, like the Westmeath and Laois, I think it is. So like you'd be thinking of Owen Cody, somebody like that. Apart from, but then we don't know if TJ is going to play. Like, he didn't play in any of the league. Maybe he's not going to play till the second game, third game, and that'd throw a big spanner because you're probably looking at the Kilkenny captain as the first one. But just, I think for Kilkenny, I think Martin Keown would be ahead if I was going with Owen Cody. Even Alan Murphy, he could be in the forwards. I'm not sure where he's down as on that. Is he a forward?
They're kind of uncertain though, aren't they? Like, Martin Keown has been full forward, but then if TJ comes back, you'd imagine TJ could be full forward.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Martin Keown. I think Martin Keown has cemented his place in. I think he's definitely going to be on the team somewhere. I'd say TJ probably end up centre forward. He could end up now because he's getting on it. He could end up corner forward. Kilkenny are playing fairly well, I think, and they're after improving. So he could move inside to corner forward and even leave. I think Keown has gone a big man too. So I think he's worked 1-3 and he wants to get goals. I see what he could have took a few points there in the league. So I just think part of quality is if he was in the backs, he's an option. But there's a couple of forwards I think he can probably head him. And then there's always a risk he's going back to the backs and then it's gone,
You mentioned the Kilkenny forwards there, and you didn't mention Billy Ryan. I think he's a player that really
Billy Ryan, yeah. He's on and off the team.
Grant and Tom of Galway could really, really hit the ground running and bag 2 goals a game on, so he's one to watch too.
He is,
yeah. I just think that's a problem with the Kilkenny forwards. There's so many of them that they can't all play.
No, you'd say Owen Cody and TJ Reid and Mullen are the 3 main ones that will definitely start if they're probably there. But as you say, the rest of them, like, there could be 10 lads fighting for 3 positions. So, and Cody could. I had I can't remember his name even. He was meant to be taking the freeze for Kilkenny and he was taken off after 20 minutes in the first game for the league and he never played anymore. What was his name even? I do know him, but
Donnelly? No, he was taking some free. Bergen.
Yeah, got a bit of inside info that he was taking the freeze, but Cody wheeled the axe after around. I think he lasted 17 minutes, and he stuck in my team then because of the no transfer rule for 2 weeks. 0 points.
You Walter Walsh there as well, who had a fairly good league. Well,
I think that one of the things I took from the league is don't be picking lads that you kind of are not proven. You by the end of the league, you end up getting back to the best players on the best teams. You pick the kind of outside lads. You say Billy Ryan, he could get 3 goals, but then he could be the first man to go. So then he might be seen for the championships.
That's the way I feel about Keown though. Like, I think he scored 2 goals there in the semi-final, didn't he? But then he didn't do anything else, and he was whipped off.
Yeah, for the first 2 now, I just think with the fixtures, I think he's definitely starting to me, and he's probably playing full. I think he will start full, so he's closest to the goal there and could get a few goals.
Yeah, I'm just going to share.
Seriously surprised here that it's a Wexford podcast and you do not have to talk about Kilkenny.
We're only playing them up a bit.
Play them up a bit to take them down.
Wait till you see our teams. I'm just going to throw up this who I put down as the potential free takers for each of the counties. So TJ, obviously, if he's fit, will be taking him for Kilkenny. If he's not, is it Alan Murphy?
I would say
Yeah,
Murphy.
Alan Murphy, yeah, for definite. And he is a serious option as well if he's a free take, because he does chip in with 3 or 4 points from play as well. So he would be probably on the, if TJ's not playing, Alan Murphy, I think definitely comes into my team, you know.
I had Alan Murphy last year. I think he was down as a midfielder and he played corner forward, and I think he got 5 points from play.
Yeah, he's a good player. Like,
then Galway, Conor Cooney or Evan Nyland. Would it be Cooney was on for the whole league? Nyland is very quiet.
But I think Evan Nyland is a better free taker than Cooney, and I think Evan Nyland should be on the Galway team, but that is kind of a 50-50 one in regard to Conor Cooney and Evan Nyland. But Evan Nyland is definitely, if he's going well, I think he will be on the freeze, but he's probably not secure enough. Maybe yet, I don't know. He's if Evan Nyland is on, he's a serious option.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when Joe was there.
Yeah.
Leash, I think it's PJ Scully, but maybe Ross King either. Mar, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Are they now? I think Westmeath and Leash people might not want to listen to much of this because are they options?
I would say the realism is you'd probably be in Lansky probably picking from Galway, Wexford, Kilkenny, Dublin, but within the Westmeath and Leash, you do have wee gems. Like I know Paddy Purcell constantly scored well in Fantasy. He's good for 1-3 from midfield, whatever it may be. You have Killian Doyle, Westmeath. You have Picky Mar, PJ Scully. All score very, very well. Pause Delaney, Victor Fallon. So there is wee fantasy gems there. Jack Kelly done very well. So there definitely is fantasy gems there, but you'd probably be basing your team around the sort of fixtures in relation to long term. So you have maybe two Wexford in, or 2 Kilkenny, 2 Galway, Dublin, whatever it may be. You know, so there's tough calls.
Paddy Purcell was also good at getting a red card in the start of the league as well. When I picked him over McManus.
Yeah, I'd have a soft Paddy Purcell. Like he the year they got beat by Tipperary, Wexford got beat by Tipperary. He scored 1-5 from play again. Tipperary in that match, I had him. So Paddy Purcell is a wing forward. Cathal has that positioning wrong. He's he is a forward playing as named as mid. So I think I'm going with Paddy Purcell. They have 5 games as well. Like, you know, we've 5 games in Leinster.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. That's huge. Yeah. And for a lot of teams, said Wexford, Dublin, Kilkenny, where they have to play those 2 weaker teams, where there's no weak teams in Munster, where you reckon player could rack up a big score.
Yeah, exactly. That's, you know, even a Paddy Purcell playing, you know, if he's at home, he'd probably pick off, and he's playing Westmeath. He's an extra fixture. You know, I have the goalie Ender Rowlands because he broke my heart so many times, like taking penalties, taking long range frees. And, you know, I had Mark Fanning in goal for Wexford. He got -8 in the semi final against Watford. So the goalkeeping position is kind of, you know, they're not getting much from him really, but the likes of an Ender Rowland now, he's taking penalties and he's taking long range. He's chipping in with 1-2 in some of these matches. So I think Rowlands and Paddy Purcell are big options for Leash. Now, I would be probably staying away from Westmeath maybe.
There's one thing, Cathal, now for goalkeepers that I think it's very harsh, the scoring. If they save a penalty, I think they only get 3 points. I remember I think it was Ender Rowland last year, and he saved a penalty, and he might have even scored a penalty at a point, and I was thinking, Jesus, he's going to have a huge score. And he had like 2 points because he conceded a couple of goals as well.
Yeah, I think in that game he scored a penalty, maybe conceded 5. So that's a -10, you know. So yes, it's a hard one for the goalkeepers. They do have an odd free, like some Mark Fanning there, and on loan, Rowan, Pitts frees, or Owen Murphy. So we do give them extra points for hitting them frees. I think it's 2, and they definitely have from play. I think it's 10 or 11 or 12 or something, you know. So, but it's tough on the goalkeepers now, you know.
You should give him 10 points for saving a penalty because it's such a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Sure, it's easier for the keeper to save them than by the score.
I'm gonna actually just move on because we'll go through the rest of these free takers. Donald Burke is the free taker for Dublin. I don't think anyone else scored a free other than Donald Burke for Dublin during the league. I've skipped Killian Doyle then for Westmeath. Then Cork, Patrick Horgan again. Des, you don't think that he's in form from play, so you maybe think he's not an option?
It's hard. Like, look at, he played Watford and they were marking him tight and stuff, but to see with like even the substitutions from Kingston, like he wants to take off lads. He wants to take off forwards. Like he's taken off his own young lad. He scored. He was bad in the first half and then he scored 1-1. He's taken off after 50 minutes and he looks to be wanting to make subs because he has the likes of, a big squad and he's wanting to use. Yeah. So I'm not really. Hurling would have always been the one, that you'd always have in your team, but I'm not sure he's capable of getting 1, 4, and 5. And as Ben said, there's no easy fixture in Munster now. You're probably not going to captain Patrick Horgan ever, like in it this year. So I just think the Cork options. You have Tim O'Mahony, he is a scoring back, and you have Dara Fitzgibbon, who's the best midfielder in the game. That's where you probably would bring in a Horgan if you were looking at 3 Cork, but I think Dara Fitzgibbon is an essential, and Tim O'Mahony is close to being if he's playing wing back going forward. So yeah, that's just the reason behind Horgan now.
And then we've got Tony Kelly from Clare, most likely Gillan from Limerick, Jason Ford, and Stephen Bennett. We'll go on and look at the fixtures now. I suppose one of the most obvious things about this year's the difference between Leinster and Munster is that Leinster teams have 5 games, Munster teams have 4 games. So each of the Leinster teams have that extra game, and as Ben said, not me now, Ben said they've got the weaker teams to play in Laois and Westmeath. Are we looking at predominantly Leinster teams then? Leinster players for our fantasy teams?
I would say the realism is you probably need to load up on Kilkenny, Wexford, Galway, and Dublin. Munster's a funny one because there's a bye week, so Clare don't play in the first round of fixtures. Then you have transfers. Then Cork and Waterford only have 1 game in the next set of fixtures, and then Limerick and Tipperary have only 1 fixture in the last set of fixtures. So it's probably trying to navigate that you start maybe without Clare, and then bring in maybe Tony Kelly after the first transfer window, and get rid of one of your Cork or Waterford boys. Dare I say, maybe Waterford or maybe a team to beat, maybe keep them. So it's a bit of balance now between sort of having the best players and playing the fixtures a wee bit. So a wee bit of fixture plan probably does no harm.
Yeah, I've just highlighted like Kilkenny in rounds 1 and 2 have Westmeath, Laois, and Galway, and Dublin have Laois, Wexford, and Westmeath. Then Limerick and Tipperary in Munster have 3 fixtures, whereas the other 3 only have the 2 fixtures in the first 2 rounds. So it looks like what you're looking at is no Clare players in round 1 because there's only the 1 game, but then most people are going to want to have Tony Kelly. So after round 1, you bring him in. But after that, Des, will you be looking at having 2 Kilkenny, 2 Dublin, 2 Limerick, and 2 Waterford at the start?
Yeah, well, you'll be going 2 Kilkenny, and I'd be probably trying to get 2 Kilkenny forwards. Instead of TJ-based in regard of, you probably have TJ and Owen Cody, but I just think like you do definitely need to get Tony Kelly in the second game. It's just, you get an injury or something like that. The transfers are so precious in regard of what you're going to do with them. But Dublin, are another one, you're probably looking at a second Dublin forward, but I don't know who you'd go with there. If you got 2 Dublin forwards, 2 Kilkenny forwards, doesn't leave much room for anything else. So
yeah,
Ara Gray is the one for me in regard of, I don't know what was, I've no knowledge of that, but he's a serious player and he's chipping in with 2 or 3 points from play from wing back, and he didn't play 1 minute in the league. So somebody like that, if you could get him, like the rest of the Dublin forwards are probably not massive heavy scorers, so you probably would just go with one of them and somebody else. But it's very tricky. It's very tricky this year in regard of Munster. The Munster forwards, we probably have a lot more options in the forwards in Munster and higher scores in Munster, but then the blanks, and then the Clare, Tony Kelly will be coming in after the first game, and then they're playing 4 games in a row, so that's no problem. But it's so hard to now. It's very hard to win. Whoever wins it is going to be navigating of the transfers and get right correctly. That's basically the biggest thing of it.
We'll move on and have a look at your team, Des. Now, there's something that I've spotted here.
Yeah,
that's very questionable, and that is your corner forward there, your right corner forward, Tony Kelly. You do know he's not playing in the first round, don't you?
That was before I looked at the. Cathal will know my team is normally done on the Saturday morning before the deadline, and that's this week. They're giving me too much. I could be a serious threat this year now because I have a week knowledge, and user after putting up the stuff now for me to. So Tony Kelly would have been probably in my team if the deadline had been this morning, and I didn't know he was. I didn't know he wasn't playing, so he's going to be gone for definite. And Owen Cody will probably come in for him, just on that. And I haven't decided on Galway. You know what I mean? As said, we don't know what their team. We don't know what the story is. So there's probably going to be a couple from Galway coming into that team as well. Maybe instead of Ender Owens, instead of goalkeeper and someone like that. But it probably will be 12 of my team, 11 or 12 anyway, but there's going to be changes.
And does Liam Cahill as manager mean that you think Waterford are going to win the All-Ireland?
I think Watford are going to win the All-Ireland, and I know Cork were poor last week. I think I can't see Limerick winning the All-Ireland. Limerick probably have the best team, but I just think I know from playing in teams myself, when you're not going well, you kind of know in the year you're not going well, and it's hard to actually get back there. I just think 2 years in a row and then to win a third, they are capable with the team they have, but I think Watford are going to win the All-Ireland and not making a mistake of putting the wrong manager for this on. So I'm going. But now I'm thinking when I go through the fixtures and we're saying there's 5 fixtures in Leinster, I might put Brian Cody as manager because I think Kilkenny will win Leinster. Then he could have 5 wins, that kind of way. 4 wins in the championship, and then they're in an All-Ireland semi-final. So,
and you've got TJ Reid as captain, so I assume that is a placeholder until you see the team sheet the night before.
Yeah, I have a suspicion TJ mightn't play, and he got no normally you have a big gap and you'd know TJ's going to play. It's only 2 weeks before the championship. He's in great condition and stuff like that, but Cody now, he's stubborn, in a way that he will know he's probably going to win the first 2 games without TJ. Not being disrespectful, but I'd be going with another thing. Just I forgot to say on if you can get a captain that's a different captain. That's sometimes I go for a captain that nobody I think will have on their teams. Do you know that kind of way? So TJ is the obvious captain this week, and you get everybody's probably going to captain TJ. But if you went, say, a Martin Keown or someone like an Alan Murphy, and they happen to score as much as TJ, you're getting double the points that probably 90% of people don't have.
And then if they do nothing, you're out of it in week 1.
Yeah,
you're already gone because everyone else had TJ and he's after scoring 212.
Yeah, that's the thing. But that's what I would be prone to do.
Yeah.
And as Pat, I'd be talking to my brother about, I'd be wanting to have a big differential in regard of getting the big points and not worried about I know TJ is going to score, but at least you have half his points, that kind of way. But just sometimes in a game like that, you could go with somebody else from Kenny.
And just when you mentioned your brother Patter, where did he finish in the league? Who finished higher between the 2 of you?
Oh, he did in this league, but you see, I was kind of all right. I think I've normally finished ahead of him now.
Okay. All right. So we do have the right Mythen on.
Yeah, he was a better free taker than me, so he's able to pick out the free takers a bit better than me. But,
and Ben, if you were going to critique Des' team, what would you say?
Burns man will surely critique that team.
No, well, this is obviously a draft team. Immediately, I'd look and say Tony Kelly and TJ Reid are probably not going to play in the first round. So there's 2 players automatically has to move out, you know. But I wouldn't give too critical, seeing as he said he's going to do it on the Saturday morning, you know.
Okay.
How early are you going to be up now on that Saturday morning, Des, doing this?
I won't be up early.
He usually texts me at 5 to 1 saying he can't get logged in. So
Cathal has done me a few favours in that time now in the Garda. His errors in his logging in, and it could have been 5 minutes past the deadline that I got a team in, but we won't say nothing about that, Cathal.
Yeah.
What is the deadline time call on the day of first championship game?
So it's next Saturday at 1 o'clock. So by that stage, bar maybe Cork, everybody should have their teams named on the Sunday night. The wee bit of advice from our end would be is to get your registration done now and pick an initial draft like Des and you guys have done. Because sometimes there you log in or you log in difficulties closer to the time and then you don't get registered in time. But definitely wait to pick your final team. Do you see the team sheets? Like for example, if TJ is starting, if he's not, you put in Alan Murphy, whatever, you know. So, or you might have wee differentials playing there. Kyle Hayes named the forwards for Limerick, you know, for example. So you might fire him in last minute. So that'll be advice. Register now, but help your team Friday night or Saturday morning.
So the cutoff for most players is 1 p.m. on the day, but for Des, 5 past 1. Okay, just
right. I'm gonna go ahead and look at my team now. Obviously, I've gone for Darry Egan as manager because I think Wexford are going to win the All Ireland. Yeah, I'm Cooney in there just because he's taking the freeze with Galway, and Galway's fixtures are good. And Fintan Burke, as you said, he can hit sidelines from anywhere. But yeah, does anyone want to critique that for me? Cathal, where am I gone wrong?
Yeah, I'm sorry to say here, but it looks fairly good to me now. Probably a big question mark from the Wexford point of view is who will be in the freeze. I think Rory's class act. Will Lee Chin be in the freeze? You know, there's a number of free pickers from Wexford. Rory was going quite well, probably in the league semi-final. Didn't shoot the light out from freeze, but I would stick with him. He's good from play as well. Maybe 1-4 from play. He's class act, so I don't mind that pick. Defensive wise, you've Paddy Foley there, so him or Colin Flood. Dale O'Keefe's also fantasy gold as a midfielder. He always pops up with 2 or 3 points. So there's good options there. So no, that looks fairly good now, to be fair.
Yeah, Rory's there. Just he's the most exciting player in the country at the moment, and yeah, as you were saying earlier, I think Lee Chin is going to be on the freeze, but Rory can do damage from play and grab a goal and a few points. I'm going to move on now, and this is Cathal. If you could pick a team, this is what you would have. So this is what everyone should be picking. Then basically, is that right?
Well, I wouldn't say that now because a bit like Des, I've done it in a rush this morning, but I should be fairly good. There's a few chances on there. Connor Cooney, if he was playing, I'll be waiting to see a team sheet. If Nyland's starting, I would definitely go Nyland. Seriously, one of the best free takers in the country. Also, apart from play, you get bang in Austin Gleeson there probably too, but Callum Lyons is fantasy gold, Dermot Burns is fantasy gold, you know, so toss up between Coleman and O'Mahony maybe. Midfield's pretty good. Ron Glenn's actually, we'll talk about a differential, he was knocking maybe 3 and 4 and 5 points in play for Galway, so he could be a really good pick. He might be a differential after the show. So yeah, so
it depends on how many people watch it. If you're watching this, don't forget to share it with your friends.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to come out of this now and going to find Ben's team, and we can all rip Ben's team apart.
This is a gang bullying
He
of
probably
my
has
team.
Paul Morris and Corey Dunbar on it, does he? He's laughing. He does.
Here's Ben's team now.
Would there be a problem if I did have those lads on it? Dude, under 20
Well, Paul
today.
Morris, if he was on, would probably be taking the frees, wouldn't he?
He possibly
I think
would if Chin is
Chin
not
is
there.
on, Chin takes him.
Yeah, like Paul Morris is a good free taker. Like the thing with Lee Chin not being there is Rory O'Connor is really not a free taker either. So if Paul Morris, I don't know what's going on that he's not on the team. I think he should be on the team. So he is a better free taker in my opinion than Rory O'Connor. But he doesn't look like he's starting.
It's hard to know. He hasn't seen
Nothing.
game time since that Clare game.
No, nothing.
You know,
So
I know
there's
he
a
had a
leave
bit
it
of an injury, but I think he's back now.
Yeah, well, from all reports I hear, Chin is definitely not fully trained at the minute. I couldn't see him starting it. You know, he has done nothing in the league. He has a hamstring injury that he hurt it. So I would say, based on the team that we're kind of presuming, Rory O'Connor's going to be on the freeze. You know, there's not going to be a change in that. Like
Chin did post, I think it was an Instagram picture from Wexford Park. It looked like he was practicing freeze there. So evening.
I heard now Thursday night he didn't play in a 15-on-15, so that's a bad sign, you know, because they're not going to be. I'd say Sunday is the last one, that'd be the last markup session they'll do probably before. So
Anyway, Des, I'll let you critique Ben's team. Where's he gone right? Where's he gone wrong?
I'd say it's a pretty good team. Like, you know, he's going with Killian Doyle. I'm not sure about that. I think there's probably he can go elsewhere with that. But other than that, he's kind of template enough, I suppose. And there's nothing. He's David Blantfield. I'm thinking of him as well. He's well worth a shout for a couple of points. Wing back, definitely. So that he's probably the only back in Kilkenny that is capable of, without Pádraig Watts being there. The rest of the backs, I just had a look at him, and
Mikey Carey got it. I have Mikey Carey, and he's.
I don't think
done
Michael.
all right
I think Michael Carey's okay, but I think he's the likes of I think he's more. He could be a man marker for Kilkenny, and that would work. Like if Conor Brown wasn't playing against Wexford now, say if you're marking Rory O'Connor, you probably go Butler in the full back line, but if he was playing out the field, I could see Carey kind of following him a bit, you know, or somebody like that, Conor Brown. So that's the only worry. Carey is good at coming up the field, and I'm still not sure if he's actually going to be on the team with Conor Brown and then coming back in. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Serious pace, like, you know. So
no respect for Killian Doyle, Des, no.
I know Killian Doyle's a good player, but it's just I think there's big hitters without having Killian Doyle. He'll probably score a huge amount now next week, all right.
I think Westmeath do score a lot, as do Laois, but they concede a lot as well. I think that's why you want forwards when they're playing against them, but it's also no harm to have PJ Scully or Paddy Purcell or Killian Doyle in there as well.
No, like over the years, just Ross King would have been a big one of mine that I would have had a lot of time. He would have been on the freeze, and he would have been getting 1, 3 or 4 from play, and then 10 frees, which is huge. So you're right, it's getting the right ones. Killian Doyle plays in the half hour. I'm not sure he's just in the championship games. He mightn't get that much from play. It would be the thing with him.
Yeah. Anyway,
here's the one I was looking for when you were saying there's you want to have the player that no one else has. You know, he was who I was thinking.
So you're going to captain him?
Oh yeah, captain.
That's my last question now. Before we go,
Captain Killian Doyle over TJ Reid is the way to go on the podcast.
TJ Reid is not even going to play.
You have inside knowledge on TJ Reid then or something?
Yeah, I met him a couple of weeks ago actually.
He's only after getting married, so he's probably.
I walked by him a couple of weeks ago in Kilkenny. Met is a strong word.
That's the last question then. So I'll start with you, Ben, because I think we have our answer. Who is your differential for the provincial championship?
Differential. Obviously Killian Doyle is there, but in reality, he probably won't be there come championship. But I don't know if we can call him a differential, but I'm gonna leave Conal Flood in there. Like, he's actually a risk that he won't start because he hasn't been starting the last few games. But when he did, he was getting 2 or 3 points a game from wing back. So I'm gonna call him a differential.
Yeah. How about you, Des? Who's your differential for the year, for the Munster Leinster Championships?
In Leinster, I just think the differential probably that's going to get a big point is we're talking about a Kilkenny second player who is going to be the big point scorer apart from TJ. So you've either Martin Cohen or Owen Cody. Them two to me are capable of scoring heavy. You know, we're talking heavy 1-5, 1-6 from play. The two of them are in the fixtures they actually have. Them, I think Kilkenny are the ones, and I think we have to go from Leinster with the differential in it because, you know, at least we know they're playing every week and we don't need to be chopping and changing. But the other thing I just say is, at least, you know, kind of in the league, you don't know the lineups. You know, the Wexford could put up a lineup and it's not the team. Like, the championship is kind of more the managers pick the team correctly and you kind of have a better idea. The league is a minefield. I think the championship, if Kilkenny, Wexford, Galway name their team, there might be one change if somebody pulls up or something like that. But you generally have better information before the deadline. So try and leave it as late as possible. But I go with a Kilkenny player as a differential. I'm not sure which one yet.
Yeah. And Cathal, finally, who would your pick for differential? I think I might have seen him there in the midfield, was it?
Ronan Glennon potentially probably could be a differential. I agree with Des there. It makes it maybe if TJ does start, like Owen Cody or Billy Rann or somebody, could be real good differential along with TJ if you wanted to go double up, or even Donny Sutcliffe, somebody like that. You know, could not maybe a good punch play, but I'll stick my head in the line and go Ronan Glennon.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Cathal and Des, for joining myself and Ben for this preview for the Fantasy Hurling. Don't forget to sign up at championship.fantasyhurling.ie, and when you do sign up, don't forget to enter the Nicky Rackard League, which is the Hurling Podcasts League. The code is on the screen and it'll also be in the description below. Thanks very much, lads. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.